Part 12. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 111. Why don't you give me apples on Christmas Eve? Xiao Jiao asked with a smile, pretending to be confused. Isn't this apple given to you by someone else? Li Jie looked at the apple. It looked like a uniformly packaged commodity. Well, I received a lot of apples today. Your apple was given to me by Sister Wei, and it is the biggest, Xiao Jiao said with a smile. Girls pay more attention to the sense of ritual. Today is Christmas Eve, and those who are familiar with each other will give apples to each other. Friends, classmates, and roommates, Xiao Jiao collected more than 30 apples in one day. Of course, she gave away more apples. Li Jie. President, you do take good care of me? He also specially picked out an apple for me, the biggest one, which was an apple given by someone else. Jiao Bao, is this how you treat your boyfriend? Seeing Li Jie's face darken, Xiao Jiao laughed even harder. Honey, I'm just teasing you. Actually, this apple is for you to eat. I'll get your gift now. Wait a minute, there's a surprise, Xiao Jiao said mysteriously. After saying that, she ran into the bedroom. After hearing what Xiao Jiao said, Li Jie was really looking forward to it. However, Xiao Jiao entered the bedroom and didn't come out for 5 or 6 minutes. Why are you so slow to get a gift? Jiao Bao. Okay. Husband, close your eyes first. Xiao Jiao stuck his head out of the bedroom and said. Seeing how mysterious she was, Li Jie became more and more curious. After closing his eyes, Li Jie could feel Xiao Jiao slowly approaching. Okay, you can open your eyes. When he opened his eyes again, he saw Xiao Jiao biting her lip and standing in front of her slightly shyly. Li Jie suddenly looked surprised and stretched out his hand to hug her. It turns out that Xiao Jiao actually changed into a Christmas outfit. Do you like this gift? Xiao Jiao said coquettishly while lying in Li Jie's arms. Yeah, I like it. This is the best gift I've ever received. Li Jie lowered his head and kissed her directly. The president really understands men's little thoughts. This gift she gave Li Jie really liked it more than any other gift. Don't be impatient, we haven't eaten yet. Xiao Jiao noticed Li Jie's hands stretching into his Christmas clothes, and pushed him with a sweet smile. Okay, let's eat first. After kissing for a while, Li Jie let her go. Before doing physical work, the president must be fed first. Jiao Bao, where did your clothes come from? Li Jie gave Xiao Jiao a piece of stewed yam. She had a bad stomach and needed to eat more food to nourish her stomach. I bought it online, Xiao Jiao said while eating. Well, online shopping is a good thing, Li Jie nodded. Actually, we can also buy some other clothes online, such as maid outfits, bunny ear outfits, etc. Xiao Jiao gave him a funny look and said, don't think about good things. Today is a special holiday benefit. Normally you wouldn't even think about it. Hey, what are you going to do? Xiao Jiao asked when Li Jie put down his chopsticks and was about to get up. Hurry up and go online and buy you a maid outfit. What's the meaning? New Year's Day will be here in a few days. If you place an order late, it won't be delivered, Li Jie said seriously. Xiao Jiao. She was dumbfounded by Li Jie. That's enough for you. Is bullying me so fun? If I don't bully you, who will I bully? You won't let me bully others. Li Jie sat down with a smile again. He was just joking. Jiao Bao, would you like to wear this outfit again on New Year's Day? Well, if you like it, I'll wear it for you. That's right, Xiao Jiao smiled and stretched out her hand to him. You just asked me for a gift. Where is the gift you gave me? I have prepared your gift for you a long time ago. Li Jie stood up and walked to the coffee table and took out a big red envelope from the drawer. You just give me a red envelope? Xiao Jiao looked disappointed. You can just buy a bouquet of flowers or a box of chocolates. Are you too insincere? You are still young and don't understand. This thing is the most sincere. Li Jie glanced at Xiao Jiao with a smile. The president is still too ignorant. What experienced girls like most is red envelopes. This is the most practical thing, such as 520, 1314, and the first cup of milk tea in autumn. Flowers. Chocolate. What is the use of romance? How much is it worth? If you're sincere, just use money to fool me, Xiao Jiao cursed. Li Jie was amused by her. President, do you know that what you said is old Versailles? I don't know how many women want men to fool them with money. You open it and take a look first. Li Jie handed the red envelope to her. Isn't there money in this? Xiao Jiao guessed, looking at his expression. You'll know when you open it and take a look. Xiao Jiao opened the red envelope and found that it was not money, but a scratch-off lottery ticket. Why did you give me the lottery ticket? Or was it a scratch-off? Can you take a closer look? After scratching off the covering film, if any of your numbers matches one of the winning numbers, you will win the prize shown to the right of that number. Is this 9,000? Xiao Jiao said excitedly, Husband, did you win the lottery? Li Jie smiled and said, How can I have such good luck? I paid a premium of 500 yuan for this lottery ticket and bought it from the winner. You spent 9,500 to buy a lottery ticket that can be exchanged for 9,000. You are stupid. Ah. You're stupid. Li Jie reached out and tapped her forehead. I'm helping you think of a solution. What does it have to do with me? Xiao Jiao said with a smile. When you go home during the winter vacation, do you want to take your netbook, mobile phone, and clothes back with you? Just take a few pieces of clothes back with you. I definitely need a netbook and mobile phone. At this point, Xiao Jiao also reacted. Li Jie looked at her. How do you explain to your parents? Frankly, you have a boyfriend. No, I can't say it, Xiao Jiao said immediately. Xiao Jiao didn't dare to tell her parents that she was in love, otherwise she wouldn't have any peace during the entire holiday and would be annoyed by them. So, you have to find a reason. You take this scratch-off lottery ticket to the lottery store to redeem the prize. When you redeem the prize, take a few photos as evidence. When you go home during the winter vacation, your uncle and aunt will ask you where the money is coming. I just said I won the lottery. Before Li Jie could finish speaking, Xiao Jiao said it first with a smile. She leaned over and kissed his face. Husband, you are too bad, you can even come up with such evil ideas. Li Jie. President, are you praising me or hurting me? Li Jie shook his head and said, there is no way to hide it from uncles and aunts like this. The time is too short and it will definitely be difficult for them to accept it. Let's put it off for now. You can reveal a little bit about it in the next semester, and then I will accompany you during the summer vacation. Go back. How about we keep it secret for as long as we can? It won't make sense to them, Xiao Jiao said resistingly. Still asking for votes and reading. The next few chapters are transitions, and then the theme comes. Of course, a warm man can't just warm up one girl. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 112. It's okay. I will be responsible for convincing them when the time comes. Keeping it secret is not an option. In the end, it will only leave a bad impression on them. Li Jie comforted her. Let's talk about it then, Xiao Jiao said with a smile. Li Jie also smiled and said nothing more. Xiao Jiao ate a small bowl of rice and put down his chopsticks. Are you full? Li Jie asked. About there. You don't want to eat either. Seeing Li Jie put down his chopsticks, Xiao Jiao asked. Yeah, Li Jie smiled, stood up, picked her up, and walked towards the bedroom. Honey, what do you want to do? Xiao Jiao looked at him seductively with a smile. When he came to the bedroom, Li Jie put Xiao Jiao on the bed, whispered something in her ear, then lowered his head and kissed her smooth white shoulders, slowly reaching her collarbone, neck, and finally kissed her lips. Xiao Jiao also put his arms around Li Jie's waist, rubbing his whole body tightly against him, and responded enthusiastically. The two were affectionate and entangled for a while. Li Jie took off all his clothes, but he didn't move much of Xiao Jiao's clothes. Xiao Jiao lies on the bed. Christmas, New Year's Day. After New Year's Day, the final exam period began for more than a week. Ideological and moral foundations and legal cultivation, introduction to tourism, English. After each course, Xiao Jiao would discuss it with Li Jie. If he did well in the exam and felt that he would pass, he would be very happy. Those who did not do well in the exam, and those who thought they might fail the exam, became dejected. In fact, the courses in the first semester of freshman year are relatively easy and simple. As long as you review the knowledge points of each subject half a month before the exam, it is basically impossible to fail. After taking 4 or 5 exams in a row, Li Jie felt that he did pretty well in all the exams. Although he couldn't get an average score of 80 or above and get a scholarship, he could at least score above 60 or 70 in each exam, so he was sure of not failing the exam. After all, he has already learned these professional courses once. Even after so many years, he has almost forgotten the knowledge points, but he can pick them up faster than ordinary people can learn them now. On the afternoon of the 4th, Chen Mengting was in the teacher's office, reading and reviewing while on duty. At this time, the landline rang. The counselor Zhang Han told her to go to the mail room of the comprehensive building to get back the class's mail. So Chen Mengting said hello to Lu Kaiu, who was on duty together, and went to the complex building. 10 minutes later, Chen Mengting came back with a stack of letters and several newspapers and magazines. The newspapers and magazines were all publications set by the school and class. After gathering the newspapers and magazines, Chen Mengting and Lu Kaiu began to call their classmates and ask them to come and pick up the letters. Hey! What is in Li Jie's registered letter? Why is it so thick? It seems that the address is from Taiwan. Does Li Jie have relatives in Taiwan? Chen Mengting looked at a very thick large letter. Registered mail, I said a little curiously. When Lu Kaiu heard that it was Li Jie's letter, her heart moved and she said, Mengting, please read it to me. As she said that, she took the registered letter over, squeezed it, guessing that it should be books or something like that. Then she looked at the address and it turned out that it was sent from Taiwan, Citizen Angzi Road, Xinzhuang, Taipei County. Li Jie said he could just have someone take it back to his dormitory, so he came to pick it up. Chen Mengting put down the phone and said. Soon, classmates came over to pick up the letter one after another, but they were all girls. Another boy received a call and asked others to take it back to the dormitory. The boys are too lazy, Chen Mengting complained. Why don't you ask Cheng Xiang or his Higang to come and get it? Lu Kaiu smiled and said, forget it, after my shift is over, I'll run over and deliver it to them, right? Kaiu, you're too spoiled to them, why don't you send it to them? Why don't you just throw it away? They'll come looking for it if they get anxious. It doesn't matter, it's just a trip. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, after Lu Kaiu finished his shift, he took Li Jie's thick registered letter and another letter to the boys' dormitory on the 7th floor of the school. It's unfair to say that boys can't enter the girls' dormitory, but girls can enter the boys' dormitory at will. Lu Kaiu said hello to the dormitory and went upstairs. I found that a very beautiful girl had entered the dormitory building. The boys passing by could not help but take a second look. There was also a boy who had just come out of the dormitory shirtless. When he saw Lu Kaiu, he immediately retreated back to the dormitory. When Lu Kaiu arrived at 406, He's Higang, Wang's Haiheng, and Yang Hao were puffing away, and the whole room was filled with the smell of smoke. She choked as soon as she came in. You three smoked in the house without opening the windows. Don't you mind choking? Lucayo couldn't stand the smell of smoke, so she walked to the window and opened it. Caillou, what are you doing here? Seeing Lucayo coming, His Higang stood up and said. When Wang's Haihang saw Lucayo, his expression was very surprised. Caillou, you are here. Lucayo glanced at Wang's Haihang, and then said to His Higang, nothing's wrong, just the letter has arrived, and you boys didn't have anyone to pick it up. I'll deliver it to you after my shift. As she spoke, she placed the 2 letters on the table. Caillou, you're so kind. You even sent it to us. In fact, just give me a call and ask me to pick it up. His Higang took the letters and looked at them, and found that one was from Li Jie and the other was from Su Yang in the dormitory next door. Is there a letter from Jizi? Well, it's sent from Taiwan. Taiwan. His Higang was a little curious when he heard it, and took a closer look at the thick registered letter. I haven't heard from Jizi that he has relatives and friends in Taiwan. At this time, Yang Hao interjected, it should have been sent to Brother Jie by the publishing house in Taiwan. Publishing house, His Higang and Lucayo said this together. Lucayo asked, has Li Jie's novel been published? Maybe. Yang Hao explained, I saw Brother Jie talking about publishing with the editor of the publishing house in Taiwan before on the internet. Yang Hao discovered this because he accidentally saw Li Jie chatting with someone in traditional Chinese, and mistakenly thought that he was chatting online to hook up with girls from Hong Kong and Taiwan. He couldn't help but take a few more glances, and immediately found out that he was an editor from a publishing house. No interest anymore. So Jizi's novel is really published and he has become a writer, His Higang said in surprise. After all, in the eyes of ordinary people, being able to publish a book is really a great thing. Although Lucayo was a little surprised, she thought it was natural after thinking about it. Li Jie has brought her too many surprises, including singing, writing books, opening a company, and catching thieves. If someone else had published a book, Lucayo might be surprised, but if it were Li Jie, she would think it was normal, because there seemed to be nothing he couldn't do. After working part-time in Li Jie's company for a while, Lucayo also understood why he fell in love with Shuezuki. Thanks to Wanyan 6 for the many rewards. Thanks to the director for the 300-point reward, thank you to Dovish and Canoe in the Sea for the 1,500-point reward, thank you to Yezorno 2 for the 1,100-point reward, and thank you to Chuxiev for the 500-point reward. Thank you for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 113. Yu Zhongfeng, the head of the game production team in his company, is a graduate student majoring in computer science at Jiangning University, and there are also 5 or 6 top students from prestigious 985/211 schools. Maybe in Li Jie's eyes, a graduate student from a second university is really nothing. Traditional Chinese publishing is actually not as difficult as you think. Wang's Haihang glanced at Lucayo and said with a smile. The ISBNs in Taiwan are very cheap and can be obtained for a few hundred yuan. In addition, in recent years, Taiwan's martial arts novels have declined and the publishing industry has been in a slump. Therefore, many Taiwanese publishing houses have set their sights on the mainland. Look for good works and sign them for publication. Therefore, even new authors may have the opportunity to get published in traditional Chinese as long as their works are of decent quality. In our group of authors, there is a new author who casually started a fairy tale novel. After writing more than 300,000 words, he stopped writing it. There is also a publishing house in Taiwan looking for him to publish it. After signing the contract for Wang's Haihang's novel, he joined the author group. After hanging out in the group for more than a month, many things were cleared. As soon as he saw the registered package sent from Taiwan, he immediately guessed that Li Zhe's novel must be it was published in Taiwan. This was a sample book sent by the publishing house, but he was unwilling to say it, let alone promote it for Li Zhe. Hearing what Wang Zhaiheng said, Zhegang also felt that publishing a book on Taiwan Island was not that great. Hengzi, does that mean your novel can also be published on Taiwan Island? Wang Zhaiheng glanced at Lu Kaiyu again and said reservedly, although the results of my book are slightly worse than Jizi's, it is still a small hit. There is definitely a chance for it to be published in traditional Chinese, but I still want to wait a little longer. Wait for the book to get better results, and then talk to the publisher, and then the conditions will be better. Lu Kaiyu glanced at Wang Zhaiheng, have you written a book too? Wang Zhaiheng was waiting for her to ask, and perked up as soon as he heard it. The novel I wrote is called Warcraft Sword Master in Another World, and it was published on Chidion.com. Kaiyu, you can read it when you have time. Seeing Wang Zhaiheng showing off in front of her, Lu Kaiyu was actually disgusted and felt that he was childish and boring. In particular, Wang Zhaiheng's belittling words made her feel very uncomfortable. She really thought she couldn't tell that he was jealous of Li Zhe. Lu Kaiyu found that what Li Zhe said made sense. Girls should not be in a hurry to fall in love. When they enter society, they will find that there are excellent boys everywhere. Although she stopped working part-time in Li Zhe's company after entering the final exam period, the part-time job for more than a month really made her learn and understand a lot of things. For example, beauty is really a kind of capital. After hearing that Lu Kaiyu was a freshman and didn't have a boyfriend yet, 2 or 3 people in the company immediately became interested in pursuing her. As soon as it was break time, he would come to the front desk to chat with her and be attentive to her. He kept giving her milk tea and snacks, which made Lu Kaiyu feel embarrassed. There was even an employee who came to the company to work overtime voluntarily just because Lu Kaiyu came to work part-time on weekends, even though he was on weekends. The important thing is that these people are all in good condition, and they all graduated from prestigious 985/211 schools. Lu Kaiyu noticed a technician named Lu Yang, who seemed to be interested in her, but because she graduated from an ordinary college, she felt that the conditions were not good enough, so she didn't even have the courage to pursue her. What touched Lu Kaiyu even more was the company's front desk officer Song Kaer. Song Kaer graduated from an inferior junior college, but his boyfriend graduated from the 211 Hongcheng University. He is very handsome and has a good family background. Both his parents are from government agencies. He is a boy. I am also currently working in a large public institution in Hongcheng. Such conditions for boys are considered extremely good on a university campus. But Song Kaer is always ready to call her boyfriend and go away as soon as possible. If something doesn't go well with her, she will lose her temper and scold the boy. Lu Kaiyu was a little bit overwhelmed by it, but the boy was willing to do it. Regarding Song Kaer's behavior, Lu Kaiyu remembered a word Li Zhe had mentioned to her accidentally, that is, relying on beauty to commit crimes. Just relying on her beauty, she does whatever she wants and works hard. Thinking of Li Zhe, Lu Kaiyu stopped talking to Wang Zhaiheng, who was showing off to her, and turned to ask Zhegang, by the way, Li Zhe isn't here? What has he been doing? Jizi. Just as Zhi was about to say something, Wang Zhaiheng said first, Kaiyu, don't you know yet? Jizi's family has already rented a house and moved out, and he and Xiao Qiao live together. He rarely goes back to the dormitory. Lu Kaiyu was stunned for a moment, with a complicated expression, then smiled and said, really, I really don't know. Lu Kaiyu only met Xiao Qiao once in the company, but the scene where everyone in the company warmly and politely called Xiao Qiao boss lady left a deep impression on her. Zhegang on the side couldn't help but frowned. He was a little dissatisfied with Wang Zhaiheng's approach. Even if you want to get close to Lu Kaiyu, there is no need to constantly undermine your brother, right? Even if Lu Kaiyu doesn't like Li Zhe, Will he fall in love with you? Don't forget that you are Lu too. Father, like son. His Higang had already noticed that Lu Kaiu was interested in Li Jie. This time, he said he was here to deliver a letter, just to find a reason to meet Li Jie. Kaiu, when I see Jizi, I will give him the letter. I will also send Su Yang's letter to him later. His Higang changed the subject and said. Okay, brother Gang, I'm sorry to bother you, so I'll leave first, Lu Kaiu said with a smile. Seeing that Li Jie was not here, she didn't want to stay any longer. Kaiu, shall I see you off? Wang Zhaihang said diligently. No, don't bother, Lu Kaiu refused. Hey, Kaiu, why are you here? Lu Kaiu just walked to the door and happened to meet Li Jie coming in from the outside. Li Jie was a little surprised when he met Lu Kaiu in the dormitory. Li Jie, are you back? Seeing Li Jie, Lu Kaiu's mood immediately improved. Yang Hao smiled and said, Brother Jie, seeing that you didn't pick up the letter, the Cultural Affairs Committee specially sent it to you. Why don't you thank me properly? When Li Jie heard this, he was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, the letter isn't that important, just throw it away. Kaiu, you really don't need to make a special trip. In fact, after what happened with Zhou Ziyu, Li Jie realized that his concentration was limited, so he also avoided Lu Kaiu a bit, and rarely spoke actively when he met him in class. Therefore, after a period of time, the relationship between the two has become somewhat tense. Rusty. Nothing, just a trip, Lu Kaiu said with a smile. His Higang asked, Jizi, is your novel really published in Taiwan? Li Jie glanced at His Higang, then at Wang Zhaiheng, and felt that it was Wang Zhaiheng who said this. Thank you to all the book friends who voted for recommendations and monthly votes. In addition, in the new week, continue to ask for votes and support. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 114. It's been published. What's in the package should be the sample book mailed from Taiwan Publishing House. Brother Jie, you have published a book, so you can be considered a writer, Yang Hao complimented with a smile. You are not a writer yet, that is, an author. It is quite easy to publish a book in Taiwan. The threshold is not as high as in the mainland, and there are many publishing houses. Even if you are a new author, as long as the quality of the work is passable, you can apply to a few more publishing houses. Usually it can be published. As he said that, Li Jie looked at Wang Zhaiheng and said, I read Heng's book and the results were pretty good. I guess a publishing house from Taiwan will be looking for him soon. Lu Kaiu looked at Li Jie with admiration. When the same words came out of Wang Zhaiheng's mouth, he felt very pretentious and showing off, but when they came out of Li Jie's mouth, he felt very humble and sincere. His Higang picked up the thick registered letter and handed it to Li Jie. Jizi, what's inside is a sample book, right? Can you take it out and show it to us? Yes. Brother Jie, can you show it to us? Yang Hao also said. Okay, Li Jie smiled, tore open the registered letter, and took out all 3 sample books. The sample book is very beautifully made, and the cover paper is very thick. The cover uses comic techniques to draw a handsome young hero wearing ancient clothes and holding a long sword. The background is a battle between Jianghu and Jianghu. Martial arts has no boundaries. 4 large dark green characters are printed on the far right side of the cover. Under these 4 words, there are also a few small characters, Zi Muzu. His Higang, Yang Hao, and Lu Kaiu each took a copy and read it carefully. Jizi, your book is so well printed, His Higang said with admiration. In his impression, martial arts and fantasy novels were crude and pirated copies found in second-hand bookstores. This was the first time he saw such beautifully crafted novels. Li Jie nodded and said, Taiwan is indeed more attentive to the publishing and packaging of novels. Lu Kaiu touched the cover of the novel and gently opened the pages. She found that not only were all the words in the traditional Chinese characters used in Taiwan, but they were also arranged vertically from top to bottom. When reading, they should also be read from right to left. Left, look column by column. On the inside of the book cover, there is a brief introduction of the author, pen name Zimu, real name Li Jie, Chinese Department of Hongqian Normal University, born in 1987, well-known online writer in the mainland, loves novels, movies, music, and writing. His new work is Martial Arts Without Limits. The writing is sophisticated, the plot is exciting and fascinating, and everyone is worth looking forward to. After closing the book, Lu Kaiu said to Li Jie, can you give me a copy of this book? Okay, Li Jie said nonchalantly. Just take this one. Thank you, Lu Kaiu said with a smile. Seeing this, He's Higang also said, Jizi, can you give me a copy too? Li Jie glanced at him and said with a smile, Brother Gang, you are too late. There are 3 sample books in total. One is given to Kaiu. The remaining 2 are for Xiao Qiao and I want to keep one for myself. Just wait until the next sample book is sent and I'll give it to you. He's Higang nodded, okay, I'll send you the sample book next time. Jizi, you must give me one first. That's right. You can sign the book then, so that I can tell others in the future that the famous writer Zimu is my college classmate, or a good friend of mine in the same dormitory. Brother Gang, what you said is too exaggerated, Li Jie smiled and shook his head. He's Higang's expression was serious, Jizi, I'm not lying. I believe that with your ability, you will definitely become a well-known writer in the future. Yang Hao was tempted when he heard it. He rubbed his hands and said with a smile, Brother Jie, when the sample book is sent again, can you give me one as well? I also want to keep it for my collection. Okay. But you have to line up behind Brother Gang. Li Jie glanced at Yang Hao. Yes, Hazi, you have to line up behind me. When the sample book comes again, Jizi has to give it to me first. He's Higang also said quickly. Lu Kaiu looked at Li Jie's beautiful eyes and said with a smile, let me be the first fan of our great writer. With that said, she handed him the sample booklet in her hand. Master Zimu, can you sign it for me? Li Jie took the book with a smile. I have never signed an autograph for anyone else in my life. Kaiu, you are really the first. Really? Then Li Jie, why don't you give it to me for your first time? As soon as he said this joke, Lu Kaiu regretted it and his face turned red. He's Higang and Yang Hao were even more coaxed when they heard this. Kaiu, you are too greedy. Even if you take the sample book, you will take it with Jizi's first time. He's Higang said with a smile. Brother Jie, hurry up, the cultural committee is still waiting, Yang Hao said with a smile. Okay, you two, stop joking. Li Jie noticed that Lu Kaiu was extremely embarrassed. He picked up a carbon pen from the desk, then opened the sample book and wrote on the first page, to my friend Lu Kaiu, I wish you will always be young and beautiful, and happy every day. Yu Zimu. After signing, Li Jie returned the book to Lu Kaiu. Lu Kaiu took the book and said seriously, Li Jie, I will always treasure this book. Wang Zhaiheng on the side felt extremely jealous when he saw that Li Jie had become the protagonist as soon as he came back, especially when he was flirting with Lu Kaiu there. He felt that Lu Kaiu was really a bit mean. When he chased her so much, she looked down on her, but now that she knew Li Jie had a girlfriend, she took the initiative to kiss her. How is Li Jie better than Wang Zhaiheng? Li Jie can write songs, and his singing is not bad. Li Jie can write novels, and he can also write them. Li Jie can publish books, and he will be able to publish books in the future. Moreover, he is much more handsome than Li Jie, I think, and it's not just that Li Jie's family is better than him. The family has money. With his family's money, he opened a small company and bought a good car, which dazzled many girls. These women are greedy for money. Jizi, what are you doing here? Li Jie glanced at Wang's Haiheng and felt that this kid must have forgotten to take his medicine and was ill again, and his tone was strange. Why, after he moves out, he can't come back if nothing happens. He paid no less for the accommodation fee than he did. However, he was too lazy to pay attention to this kid. I'll just come back and get a few books and leave right away. Jizi, why are you in a hurry? It would be great if we all stay a little longer and brag about it together, He's Higeng said. No, let's do it next time. Xiao Jiao is still waiting for me to have dinner together. Isn't it fun to be with your girlfriend? Who are you guys talking nonsense with? By the way, brother Gang, how did you do in the exam? Li Jie asked casually. It's not bad. I just feel like my English is a bit unclear and I might fail, He's Higeng sighed. Thanks to Wanyan6 for the many rewards, and thanks to Duobu VSSS for the 500-point reward. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 115. Wang's Haiheng said to He's Higang, Brother Gang, I told you to send you the answer, but you haven't used it yet. Do you think you can do it now? He's Higang shook his head. If you are caught passing the answers, it will be embarrassing and your results will be invalidated. Wang's Haiheng disagreed. Brother Gang, what are you afraid of? If you get caught, the results will be invalidated. Anyway, if you fail the exam, you will still fail. Li Jie glanced at Wang's Haiheng and mistook him for thinking that he was very good at studying despite the fact that this guy said he was passing on the answers to He's Higang. In fact, he also asked others to pass the answers to him. Wang's Haiheng is very playful and does not focus on studies at all. When it comes to the final exam, he relies on making cheat sheets and passing on answers. This kid has quick movements and sharp eyes, so he has been copying for 4 years in college and has never been caught. He just copied a diploma. Li Jie took a few books and prepared to leave. You guys chat, I'm leaving first. Lu Kaiu then said, it's time for me to leave too. Li Jie, let's go together. Good. The two of them left the dormitory together. Lu Kaiu glanced at the book Li Jie was holding. Did you borrow this book from the library? Well, I'm going to return the book at the end of the semester. How about you give me the book? I happen to have to go to the library to return the book in the evening, so I will return it for you. Isn't it too much trouble? Why are you so polite? It's just a matter of way. Seeing Lu Kaiu's insistence, Li Jie gave her a few borrowed books and a campus card. After leaving the dormitory and going downstairs, Li Jie took out his key and pressed it on the car. Kaiu, how about I give you a piece? Lu Kaiu smiled and said, no, it's just a few steps away. Goodbye then. Li Jie opened the car door and was about to get in the car. Suddenly he remembered something and called Lu Kaiu, by the way. Kaiu, have you booked a ticket? It's booked for the 12th, what's wrong? Lu Kaiu turned around. Air ticket or train ticket? Lu Kaiu gave him a funny look. Of course it's a train ticket. I'm not as wealthy as you, so how can I afford a plane ticket? Li Jie nodded, I'll see you off then. You're a girl carrying your luggage, so it's inconvenient to take a taxi. Lu Kaiu was a little surprised, but she didn't refuse. Okay, I'll bother you then. At night, in the girls' dormitory, Lu Kaiu sat at the desk, quietly flipping through the sample book Martial Arts Without Boundaries. This was her first time reading this kind of martial arts fantasy novel, and she found it quite interesting. However, the traditional Chinese characters and vertical layout made her uncomfortable. Roommate Hino came to the water dispenser to fetch water and found Lu Kaiu reading a novel. He stretched his head and took a look. Xiao Yu, you have the exam tomorrow. Are you still reading the novel here without reviewing? Lu Kaiu was startled by her and quickly closed the book. He now said curiously, what novel are you reading? Why is it still in traditional Chinese characters? Can you read it for me? It's just an ordinary novel, nothing interesting, Lu Kaiu said, pretending to be plain. It's mysterious, there must be something wrong. He now muttered something in a low voice and pretended to leave, but when Lu Kaiu wasn't paying attention, he grabbed the book directly. Show me. Hey, don't grab it, Lu Kaiu wanted to grab the book back. Hinai didn't give her a chance, he took the lead and escaped with a smile. Are you, a novel published in Taiwan? Hinai looked at the book in his hand, surprised. Why does the title of the novel Martial Arts Without Limits sound so familiar? Ruonkin Ru, another girl in the dormitory, put down her review notes and said, it's the novel written by Li Jie. As she said that, she looked at Lu Kaiu. Xiao Yu, has Li Jie's novel been published in traditional Chinese? Lu Kaiu hesitated and said, yes, it was published in Taiwan. This is the sample book he gave me. Hinai was surprised when he heard, Li Jie's novel has been published? So he really became a writer. Ruonkin Ru said, I can't even talk about being a writer, but it's really rare. Hinyo said with envy, I heard that Li Jie can earn 7,000 or 8,000 a month by writing books online. Now that the novel is published, he can earn a lot of royalties, right? It turns out that the richer people are, the richer they are. Kinru, aren't you also writing books online? How much money can you make in a month? I only earn 1,800 yuan, Ruonkinru said. So few, Hezi was a little unconvinced. Ruonkinru smiled bitterly, that's all. I write on a female channel, and I'm still a small fan. How can I compare with a master like Li Jie, a male channel? In fact, except for the perfect attendance of 600 yuan per month, my real monthly income is the royalties are only 200 to 300 yuan. You only earn 200 or 300. Then why can Li Jie earn 7,000 or 8,000? And what does great God mean? Hezi became more and more confused as he listened. The greats just refer to the top handful of online article writers, who are the most famous and make the most money. Then Ruonkinru briefly introduced to Hinai the issues of subscription and royalties. Hinai understood a little after listening. In other words, the more people who spend money to read your book online, the more money they will make. So how many people will spend money if Li Jie earns 7,000 or 8,000 a month? Read his book. 7,000 or 8,000, Ruonkinru shook her head and said, Li Jie is too humble. He definitely earns more than that. Then how much can he earn? Hiruo asked curiously. Ruonkinru hesitated and said, forget it, it's better not to say it. Lu Kaiu glanced at her and said with a smile, Kinru, just tell me, I'm a little curious too. Hinai also urged, yes, Kinru, just tell me. Ruonkinru glanced at the two of them, thought for a while and said, I can tell you, but neither of you can tell anyone. After all, Li Jie doesn't want to reveal it, he must have his own ideas. Don't worry, we will definitely not tell anyone. After seeing the two of them agree, Ruonkinru said, you may not believe it, but based on Li Jie's current subscription results and the number of updates, he can earn almost 150,000 to 60,000 yuan in royalties a month. 15 or 60,000. Hinai and Lu Kaiu both screamed in surprise at the same time. In this era, 150,000 to 60,000 yuan is enough to buy half a house in a third-tier city, which is not a small amount of money. Kinru, you said Li Jie can earn 150,000 to 60,000 yuan a month, he now said with some disbelief. Then he can earn more than 2 million yuan a year? My dad only earns more than 30,000 yuan a year. Ruonkinru said, this is only Li Jie's current income. With the growth of subscriptions, he will earn more in the future. Coupled with the income from traditional Chinese publishing and future simplified publishing, he will earn 3 yuan after writing this book. 4 million is definitely not a problem. 3 to 4 million, I didn't know what to say. Lu Kaiu is concerned with another issue, publishing in simplified Chinese. Are you saying that there is a chance that Li Zhe's novels will be published in the mainland? Thank you all for your support, please vote and follow up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 116. Ruang Qinru nodded and said, with the results of Li Zhe's book, it will definitely be published in simplified Chinese sooner or later. There may be a book signing in the future. Then she sighed and said, Li Zhe has become a god with one book. As long as his next book's results are not particularly bad, he will definitely become a well-known online writer in the future. One book earns 3 to 4 million, which means that even if Li Zhe does not rely on his family, he will not be short of money in the future. He Nai looked at Lu Kaiyu as he spoke. Hey, why are you staring at me? Lu Kaiyu felt a little uncomfortable when she looked at her. Xiao Yu, why don't you just ignore that Shuezuki and go grab Li Zhe? What are you talking about? Stop talking nonsense, Lu Kaiyu blushed and said hurriedly. I'm talking nonsense, Xiao Yu, why are you blushing? Why are you panicking? Don't think I can't tell. You have a crush on Li Zhe, right? He Zhe stared at her and said. I didn't, don't talk nonsense, Lu Kaiyu looked away. TCH, He Zhe said, you are telling the truth? Xiao Yu is serious, given your conditions. If you had taken the initiative earlier, you wouldn't have been overtaken by that Xiao Qiao. Apart from being a little cuter, she is nowhere better than you. Strong. She's as flat as an airport. As she said that, she looked Lu Kaiyu up and down. Xiao Yu, with your looks, your figure, especially your long legs, which man can handle it? When we had our first class meeting, I noticed Li Zhe staring at your legs. It's nothing, just stop talking nonsense. Lu Kaiyu blushed even more when Hiruo said that. She remembered that night at the artificial lake, Li Zhe said he was having fun with his legs and asked her to send him private photos of her beautiful legs as a joke. Besides, it's not like Li Zhe doesn't have a good impression of you. Otherwise, why would he have given you such a memorable first sample book? He Nai shook the sample book in his hand. Lu Kaiyu argued strongly, there are 3 books, not just one. Besides, I took the initiative to ask for this book from Li Zhe. If you asked him for it, he might give it to you. He now smiled mockingly to himself. I still have self-awareness, and I won't care if Li Zhe wants it, and they won't give it to me if he asks for it. Xiao Yu, I don't really encourage you to grab it. I just want to seize the opportunity carefully. Maybe one day Li Zhe and Xiao Qiao will break up, and your opportunity will come. Li Zhe, a boy with such good conditions, miss it, it's hard to meet again. Lu Kaiyu glanced at He Nai and did not answer. After finishing the last modern Chinese exam on the afternoon of the 10th, the exams were all over and we entered the winter vacation. Xiao Qiao finished the exam earlier than Li Zhe. He finished all the exams yesterday morning. Li Zhe returned to the rental house and found Xiao Qiao sitting on the sofa watching TV. You came back so quickly, why are the questions so easy? It's okay, it's not difficult. Li Zhe sat down on the sofa next to her. When he took the exam just now, he first picked up the questions that he was familiar with and did it. After finishing it, he estimated that he would get more than 70 points to pass. He didn't bother to think about the remaining questions that he didn't know, so he just filled them in and handed them in. Qiao Bao, when do you plan to go home? Let's go on the 15th and 16th. It's so urgent, can't we stay a few more days? I also want to take you to a foreign country with me. Xiao Qiao smiled helplessly. No, my father is a teacher, and he knows when the university will have a holiday. It won't be delayed for too long. Husband, what are you doing abroad? Traveling, she asked curiously. No, it's something. Then which country are you going to? Czech Republic. Li Jie spit out the name of a country. Xiao Qiao was stunned for a moment. Czech Republic? That's the Czechoslovakia in the history books? What are you doing there? She really didn't expect that Li Jie would talk about such a strange country. Li Jie smiled and put his arms around her. It's the Czech Republic and Slovakia. They are two countries now. The one I'm going to is the Czech Republic. As for what I'm going to do, of course I have something to do. Xiao Qiao glanced at him with a smile. It's mysterious. Seeing that Li Jie didn't want to say more, she didn't ask further questions. At this time, Li Jie's phone rang. He picked up the phone and saw that it was his Gang, so he answered the call. Brother Gang, is something wrong? After chatting with his Gang for a few words, Li Jie hung up the phone and said to Xiao Qiao, I'm going home soon. Everyone in the dormitory is going to get together and have a meal tonight. You can come with me. Okay. Xiao Qiao smiled and nodded. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Li Jie and Xiao Qiao came to the small restaurant on the second floor of Star Restaurant. Walking into the box, I found that his Gang, Wang Haiheng, Yang Hao, and Lin Jing were all here, as well as Chen Wenjing, He Lu, and Qiu Nana as family members. Jizi, why are you here? His Gang said. Li Jie took Xiao Qiao and sat down in an empty seat. Seeing that the atmosphere was a bit dull, Wang Haiheng was smoking with a sullen expression. He couldn't help but curiously asked, what's going on? His Gang glanced at Wang Haiheng. During the exam, Hangzhe was using his mobile phone to read the answers, but the invigilator caught him. Li Jie was a little surprised when he heard this. He had never heard of this kid being caught in his last life. Why was he caught this time? How to deal with that? My mobile phone will be confiscated, my test results will be invalidated, and I will write a review. His Gang paused and then continued, and the person who delivered the answer, Yu Ziohe, is also implicated and will have to write a review. So serious, Li Jie was even more surprised. Generally, even if you are caught plagiarizing in an exam, most invigilators will just confiscate the cheat sheets and ask the candidates to hand in the papers in advance. They rarely take this seriously. Has it been reported to the Academic Affairs Office? His Gang nodded. Jizi, I didn't see you leaving long ago. That teacher is really ungrateful. Wang Haiheng put out the cigarette butt and said angrily, this invigilator is really no good. I told you that you can take away the paper and hand over the phone, and he still refuses to let go. I really want to beat him today. His Gang frowned. Okay, Hangzhe, plagiarism is already a demerit. If you hit the teacher again, you will be fired. Expulsion means expulsion. I don't miss this crappy school anymore, Wang Haiheng said angrily. Seeing this, Li Jie shook his head inwardly. The same goes for Wang Haiheng. Modern Chinese is not difficult. In fact, he can pass it by reading the book for 2 more days and reviewing it. But he insists on plagiarizing. Now something will happen. Wang Haiheng is nothing. The demerits are only verbal and will not be recorded in the file. Wang Haiheng just failed one subject. The one who was really affected was Yu Ziohe. Thank you, ignorance is strength for the 5,000-point reward. Thank you to Paid Axing who sells newspapers for the 1,500-point reward. Thank you for the 500-point reward for running away if you can't beat me. Thank you for the 1,000-point reward for looking back. And thank you for Wanyan 6's many. This is a reward, thanks to the character who is a bit tired in this life for the reward, and thanks to Chin Shumoran for the reward. Thank you for your support. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 117. Yu Ziohe is the best student among the boys and one of the best students in the class. He is definitely capable of receiving a scholarship. Now that he has received a demerit, the scholarship evaluation opportunity will be cancelled. His Gang sighed, the key now is that Yu Xiaohei's side is not easy to deal with. Wang Zhaiheng lit another cigarette. I will pay for whatever scholarship he deserves. I will never let Xiaohai suffer any loss because of me. He Zhigeng shook his head. Hengzi, this is not just about money. Wang Zhaiheng said a little irritably, of course I know that just giving money can't compensate Xiaohai, but there's only so much I can do now. Li Zhe glanced at Wang Zhaiheng. In fact, this kid is quite honest. At least he is willing to take responsibility. He is much better than those who beg their grandfather to sue their grandmother before the exam, have someone pass on the answers, and then turn around and shirk responsibility when something goes wrong. At this time, He Lu said with a smile, stop talking about these unhappy things, talk about something else. Husband, your novel is on the shelves, and the results are also very good. As soon as He Lu mentioned the novel, Wang Zhaiheng's face suddenly became much better. He nodded and said, when my book Warcraft Sword Master in Another World was put on the shelves, it had a collection of more than 17,000, and the first order was more than 1,600 in 24 hours. The average order is more than 1,300. After a few days of updating, the first order has increased to more than 2,300, and the average order is nearly 1,700. Li Zhe glanced at Wang Zhaiheng. Will it be available during the exam period? This kid wouldn't have spent all his review time on code word updates. He Zhigeng said, Hengzi, no one of us here except Jizi can understand this bunch of data. Just tell me how much money you can make, right? If you update more, plus the perfect attendance bonus, you can get 5,000 to 6,000 a month. After saying that, Wang Zhaiheng looked at He Lu and said, in the future, I can support you without relying on my family. Husband, you are awesome, He Lu gave him an admiring look in return. 5,000 or 6,000, He Zhigeng was a little surprised. Then Tsuneko, your income isn't much less than Tetsuko's. Wang Zhaiheng glanced at Li Zhe and said, Jizi was humble before. With his subscription, his monthly manuscript fee was tens of thousands of yuan. Tens of thousands of dollars. Upon hearing this number, everyone present except Xiao Qiao was a little surprised. He Zhigeng couldn't help but said, Jizi, can you really make tens of thousands of yuan a month? Li Zhe smiled and said, absolutely. It's about the same again, He Zhigeng complained. Jizi, can't you be more honest? How many thousands can you make? There are still 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. 7 or 80,000, He Zhigeng couldn't help but take a breath. Holy crap, is it so easy to make money from writing a book? Jizi, you can earn 70,000 to 80,000, and Tsuneko can earn 5,000 to 6,000, how about I write a book with you too? Although He Zhigeng said it in a joking tone, it could be seen that he was really tempted. Wang Zhaiheng shook his head, it's not that easy to write a book. Jizi and I are special cases. Just like our author group of more than 1,000 people, there are only 30 or 40 who have more than 1,000 subscriptions, and most of the rest are just full-timers. The contract signing rate at Kidian is only a few %, and the vast majority of people can't even sign a contract. Many people have written hundreds of thousands of words, or even 1 or 2 million words, for free, but they haven't even had a chance to sign a contract. None. Brother Gang, if you don't believe it, you can ask Jizi to see if what I said is true. Seeing He Zhigeng's gaze, Li Zhe nodded, what Hengzi said is true. In fact, the performance of his book is already one of the best among the new authors on the shelf. I finally understand. What you two mean is that I can't write without the talent, He Zhigeng said with a smile. Li Zhe glanced at him and said, writing talent can't be seen without writing and trying. Brother Gang, if you are really interested, you can also use your winter vacation to open a book and try. People only watch thieves eat meat, but don't see thieves being beaten. He Zhigeng will not give up completely unless he is given a try. He Zhigeng said, okay, I will also try to open a book during the holidays. Then Jizi and Hengzi, don't forget to recommend it to me. Wang Zhaiheng nodded disapprovingly, and then looked at Li Jie. Jizi, do you think my book has a chance to become a high-quality book? Keep it up. If the plot doesn't collapse, the chances are great, Li Jie said politely. I think so too, Wang Zhaiheng said confidently. He Lu asked, what does high quality mean? Wang Zhaiheng smiled at her and said, the average order is more than 3,000. How much money can you make then? At least tens of thousands. So many, He Lu said in surprise, and her eyes towards Wang Zhaiheng were a little more tender. He's Higeng asked, when will you all leave? Lin Jing and Chen Wenjing looked at each other and said, Wenjing and I will leave tomorrow. Wang Zhaiheng glanced at He Lu and said, I'm not in a hurry. I'll stay for a few more days and maybe leave on the 15th or 16th. Yang Hao said, Xiao Na and I are leaving the day after tomorrow. With that said, he looked at Li Jie and said with a smile, Brother Jie, could you please help me see Ziona off? What time does your bus arrive? Xiao Na's bus is at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I'm in the morning bus. Li Jie thought that Lu Kai was also driving on the afternoon of the 12th, so he nodded, okay, sure. Brother Gang, when are you leaving? I'll leave tomorrow morning. Where are you, Jizi? I'm not in a hurry. I might go back just before the Chinese New Year. He's Higeng picked up the wine glass and said, come, let's all have a drink together. The next time we get together will be next year. Good. Everyone picked up their wine glasses, clinked them together, and then drank the wine. After the party ended and everyone parted ways, Li Jie and Xiao Qiao got into the car. Qiao Bao, what's wrong with you? Li Jie looked at her as if he had something to say. Husband, can you also send Zioxiang and the others off tomorrow? Xiao Qiao said with a coquettish smile. Li Jie rubbed her head and said, why are you so polite to me? Why does he like the president? She is so sensible. I won't be like some girls who are arrogant and bossy to their boyfriends. Who is leaving your dormitory tomorrow? Xiao Qian, Lu Li, and Shen Man. Where are Zhang Yu and Bai Wei? Zhang Yu said he would leave in a few days, but Sister Wei said she wouldn't go back. Not going back, Li Jie said unexpectedly, is she going to stay in school for the new year? Xiao Qiao nodded. The situation in Sister Wei's family seems to be very complicated. I asked her, but she refused to tell me. At this point, she paused and said, husband, if you are free, help me take care of Sister Wei, okay? Li Jie smiled and nodded, okay, don't worry. On the 11th of the next day, Li Jie drove away with Xiao Qiao and sent away the three girls Zhang Qian, Lu Li, and Shen Man. Thank you to all the book friends who voted. Keep asking for votes. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 118. On the morning of the 12th, Xiao Qiao went back to the dormitory to accompany Bai Wei, while Li Jie drove to the 6th floor of the school, downstairs from the girls' dormitory. Li Jie got out of the car, took out his mobile phone and made 2 calls. Soon, Lu Kai pushed a small pink suitcase and walked out of the building accompanied by 2 girls. Li Jie, I'm sorry to bother you. Okay, don't be polite. Li Jie took the suitcase from her and put it in the trunk. A girl smiled and said, Li Jie, you only send us Xiao Yu? Can you also send me off? Li Jie glanced at her. This girl was also in Chinese class too. Her name was Hinai. She went to Lu Kai's birthday last time. As for the other girl, Li Jie didn't know her. He only knew that she was also a Chinese major. Okay, you go get your luggage. Forget it, I was joking. Lu Kai glanced at another girl and introduced, this is Ruangqin Ru, from class 1, in the same dormitory as me. Like you, she also writes novels online. Ruangqin Ru? It turned out to be her. In Li Zhe's last life, before he could write a book, he heard that a girl in his major was writing a book online, and the novel was also published. This incident was also very sensational at the time. After all, it is very honorable for a student to publish a book. Li Zhe would later write a book, and he was somewhat influenced by that girl. It's just that after so many years, he has long forgotten what the girl's name was. Ruanqinru smiled and said, although I also write books online, I am far behind you. Li Zhe also smiled and said, there's no guarantee about writing a book. Maybe your next book will become popular and be published. Then I'll lend you some good advice. After Hinai and Ruanqinru went back, Li Zhe said to Lu Kaiu, Kaiu, I have to wait for a while, there is a classmate who wants to drop by. Is there a classmate? Lu Kaiu looked curious. It can't be Tan Hui, right? How is that possible? Li Zhe shook his head. It's Yang Hao's girlfriend Xiunana. She is also our major, but she is in class 3. Yang Hao has friends. Yes. Kaiu, why did you think of Tan Hui? Aren't you two classmates and fellow villagers? You don't want to see anyone off when you go home. In fact, Tan Hui actually sent a message to Li Zhe before, asking him when he would go home and saying that he had made an appointment with some classmates from northeast China and that they could go together. But Li Zhe has no plans to return to the mountain city this year. Instead, he plans to return to Luanzhou where his mother lives. After waiting for another 2 or 3 minutes, Xiunana also walked out of the building dragging a small suitcase. Seeing Li Zhe, she politely called Brother Zhe. Li Zhe took Nana Chiu's suitcase and put it in the trunk. He opened the back seat door and let her get in the car. After Xiunana got in the car, she was a little surprised when she saw Lu Kaiu sitting in front. Lu Kaiu didn't know Xiunana, but Xiunana knew Lu Kaiu, a Chinese major. Seeing Lu Kaiu turn around and smile friendly at her, Xiunana also nodded to her quickly. After Li Zhe got in the car, he asked Lu Kaiu and Xiunana to fasten their seat belts, and then drove straight to Hongcheng railway station. Along the way, Li Zhe and Lu Kaiu didn't talk much, but Lu Kaiu and Xiunana would chat from time to time. More than 40 minutes later, they arrived at Hongcheng railway station. After getting off the train, Li Zhe opened the trunk and took out Lu Kaiu and Xiunana's suitcases. Xiunana took the suitcase, glanced at Lu Kaiu, and then said to Li Zhe, Brother Zhe, thank you, then I'll leave. Well, have a nice trip. Seeing Xiunana walking away, Li Zhe smiled and said to Lu Kaiu, let's go, I'll accompany you to the station. In later generations, the farewell personnel were not allowed to enter the station without buying a platform ticket, but in this era, no one cares about you. Li Zhe carried his suitcase and accompanied Lu Kaiu through the security check, entered the station and went upstairs to the designated waiting room. After finding 2 empty seats and sitting down, Lu Kaiu took out her mobile phone and checked the time and said, it's only 11 o'clock now, and it will take nearly 2 hours before the train leaves. Otherwise, you should go back first. Li Zhe smiled and said, it's okay. I'll stay with you for a while, so that you don't get bored alone. Lu Kaiu glanced at him with a smile, how do you know I'll be bored? Aren't you bored? Don't need company. Seeing Lu Kaiu looking at him with a smile and saying nothing, Li Zhe nodded, okay, I'll leave first. After saying that, he turned around and left. Hey, you really want to leave? Lu Kaiu suddenly became anxious. Why can't this person be so troubled? Li Zhe didn't even turn around, just waved his hand to her. Seeing that Li Zhejin was gone, Lu Kaiu sat down with a resentful look on his face, muttering to himself and complaining n times. 10 minutes later, Lu Kaiu was fiddling with her phone boredly when she heard someone say, Beauty, would you like a hot lunch box? It's very cheap. Don't want. Lu Kaiu reacted as soon as she said the words. She looked up and saw that it was indeed Li Zhe. She couldn't help but said in surprise, Li Jie, you're not leaving. Her eyes fell on the things he was carrying. Are you going to buy food? Li Jie smiled and shook the plastic bag in his hand. I went to buy 2 lunch boxes, and also bought some snacks and drinks. You can eat them in the car. I thought you were really gone. I'm just teasing you. I can't just allow you to tease me, but not let me tease you. Cut. Li Jie took out a lunch box and a bottle of juice and handed them to Lu Kaiu. Eat. I can't let you get in the car hungry. Lu Kaiu smiled and glared at him, then took the lunch and drank. Li Jie smiled and opened another lunch box and started eating. The lunch box at the train station tasted just like that, definitely not delicious, but Lu Kaiu felt that today's lunch box tasted very good. Eat it for you. She picked up a piece of fat meat and put it in Li Jie's lunch box. What are you doing for me? I don't like fat meat. Li Jie gave her a funny look. You don't like fat meat, so why don't you give it to me? You are really smart. Phew, Lu Kaiu couldn't help laughing. Hey, be careful, the rice grains are all sprayed into my lunch box. After finishing the lunch box, the two chatted for a while, and then the announcement prompted the ticket inspection to begin. Tickets checked, Lu Kaiu said softly. She felt like time passed so quickly. Okay, let's go check in. Li Jie carried her suitcase and walked with her to the end of the ticket checking line. The two of them followed the flow of people and moved forward little by little, and soon arrived at the ticket gate. Li Jie smiled and handed the suitcase to Lu Kaiu. Okay, I'll stop sending it here. I can't send it anymore. He didn't buy a platform ticket, so he couldn't pass the ticket gate. Lu Kaiu took the suitcase and glanced at him reluctantly. Then I'm leaving. Let's go, next year. Li Jie suddenly stopped mid-sentence. It turned out that Lu Kaiu let go of the suitcase, rushed forward and hugged him. Thanks to the canoe in the sea and Longmo Wang for the 1,500-point reward, and thanks to the gun bag for the 500-point reward. Thanks Yezorno for the 200 points reward. Thanks to the sword-carrying fat-headed fish, sister, please stay, sister wife, and the 3 of you for your reward. Thank you for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 119. Many passengers checking in around also noticed the separated young couple and couldn't help but take a second look as they passed by. After being hugged by Lu Kaiu, Li Jie was stunned for a moment. After coming to his senses, he patted her on the back. Lu Kaiu let go of Li Jie, her face turned red and hot. She didn't understand why she was so impulsive. Li Jie, see you next year. After saying this with a smile, Lu Kaiu grabbed her suitcase and walked towards the ticket gate as if running away. Looking at her back, Li Jie couldn't help but smile and shake his head. During the 3 days of the 13th, 14th, and 15th, Li Jie and Xiao Jiao didn't go anywhere, they just stayed in the rental house together. Cook and eat together, watch movies, play games, and do something you love together. Because they were about to part ways and couldn't see each other for a holiday, the president was even more demanding, as if he wanted to delay the holiday by asking for everything in advance. Bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom, any place can become a battlefield. To describe it in one word, it's overwhelming. It was obvious that he was exhausted, but after resting for a while, Xiao Jiao would act coquettishly again and say, I still want my husband. What can Li Jie do about this? I can only satisfy her. On the night of the 15th, in the living room, Li Jie sat in front of the computer, yawning while typing. He had not rested well in the past 2 days. Xiao Jiao was so tired after exercise that he fell asleep directly, but Li Jie still persisted in writing 6,000 words. Because he doesn't have a single chapter of the manuscript in hand, so he writes and publishes it every day. Honey, it's time to eat. Xiao Jiao walked out of the kitchen with 2 bowls of noodles. Because the room was air-conditioned, she only wore a small black suspender belt and her hair was tied up with a headband. Li Jie closed his notebook and came to the dining table. Xiao Jiao handed him the chopsticks. The president realized his hard work and took the initiative to cook for him. But she only knows how to cook instant noodles, soak them and eat them dry. Li Jie looked at the boiled instant noodles in front of him and found that they were quite rich. There were vegetables, ham slices and an omelette in the noodles, but the omelette seemed a bit mushy. How does it taste? Seeing Li Jie take a bite of the noodles, Xiao Jiao looked at him expectantly and asked. Well, not bad, Li Jie smiled and nodded at her. He wasn't lying. The instant noodles cooked by Xiao Jiao really tasted good. As for instant noodles, the taste is almost the same no matter who cooks it. Then eat more. After hearing his words, Xiao Jiao was obviously very happy and moved some noodles from her bowl to Li Jie's bowl. After finishing the noodles, Li Jie returned to the sofa and continued typing. Xiao Jiao sat next to him and stayed with him quietly. After more than 50 minutes, Li Jie finally finished writing 2 chapters of 6,000 words, checked it, and uploaded it. After closing the web page and closing the computer, Li Jie turned around and said to Xiao Jiao with a smile, "Are you getting bored of waiting?" Xiao Jiao smiled and leaned against him, "No, actually it's good to be with you like this." Li Jie put his arms around Xiao Jiao and hugged her like this. The two of them leaned against each other and quietly enjoyed the warmth. After a while, Li Jie said, "Jiao Bao, how about we watch a movie?" "Okay," Xiao Jiao nodded. "Then what movie do you want to watch?" Li Jie said and turned on the computer. "There have been a few good horror movies released recently. Let's stop watching horror movies. How about watching a comedy? How about we watch an action movie? It's not that you don't like watching." At this point, Li Jie reacted and looked sideways at Xiao Jiao. "You're talking about foreign action movies?" "Yeah," Xiao Jiao bit her lip and nodded, with a seductive smile in her eyes. "Why don't you stop watching action movies?" Li Jie had no interest. "Xiao Jiao. Has this guy changed his gender? This doesn't look like him." "Husband, are you really tired?" Her eyes were a little suspicious. "If you're really tired, just have a good night's rest." Li Jie. There were black lines on his head. Men can't stand this kind of questioning. Li Jie reached out and picked her up roughly by the waist, and walked to the bedroom. "Ah," Xiao Jiao shouted. "Honey, aren't you going to watch the movie?" "No more, what's the point of watching a movie?" Li Jie decided that he must teach the president a lesson this time. The next morning, Li Jie was awakened by the sunlight coming through the cracks in the curtains. He drowsily touched the mobile phone on the bedside, picked it up and took a look at it. Then he suddenly became energetic and sat up from the bed. Looking at Xiao Jiao, who was sleeping soundly in his arms, Li Jie patted her. "Jiao Bao, get up quickly." "Husband, stop making trouble, I'm so sleepy, let me sleep more," Xiao Jiao said in a daze. "Still sleeping? Just sleep on the plane and fly." Seeing that he couldn't wake her up, Li Jie slapped her hard on her butt. Snapped. "Ah," Xiao Jiao was woken up. "Li Jie, you hit me again." She covered her butt and stared at him angrily. She was bullied by Li Jie for most of the night last night. She was exhausted and cried miserably. Now her eyes were red and swollen, her voice was hoarse, and she was very haggard. "You bastard, you know how to bully me, can't you let me sleep more?" Li Jie couldn't help but feel angry and funny when he looked at the president, who looked like, "I'm so wronged and it's all your fault. I don't know who started the provocation yesterday." "Okay, go to sleep, go to sleep." He hugged her and lay down again. "I'll change my ticket." "Why do you need to change the ticket?" Xiao Jiao had already closed his eyes and asked subconsciously. The plane leaves in more than an hour. The plane is about to fly. Xiao Jiao suddenly became energetic, broke away from Li Jie and sat up from the bed. Today is the 16th. I forgot. Ah, it's already past 10 o'clock. Li Jie, why didn't you call me earlier? Seeing her complaining there, Li Jie shook his head in amusement. Blame me again? President, you really know how to beat me up? You're still smiling, hurry up, it's going to be late. Xiao Jiao jumped out of bed, opened the cabinet and started to change clothes. Li Jie couldn't help but ask, have you packed your things yet? No. Why don't you get dressed quickly and then help me clean up? Why don't we change our visa? One day we're late and we're one day late. No, I have already agreed with my family that I will go back today, and my father also said that he will come to the city to pick me up. Seeing Xiao Jiao say this, Li Jie had no choice but to quickly put on his clothes and help her clean up. Li Jie found a small suitcase, and Xiao Jiao put a few clothes that he usually wears in it, and then put his netbook in it, and it was done. The two hurriedly left the rental house and got into the car. Xiao Jiao looked at the time and found that it was only an hour before the plane took off. Thank you all book friends for your vote and support. Continue to ask for votes and follow up to read. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 120. Husband, is it still too late? Don't worry, I'll definitely make it in time. Fasten your seatbelt. Li Jie started the car and rushed to the airport. He drove for 5 or 6 minutes. After leaving the provincial road and getting onto the highway, he continued to accelerate and once exceeded the speed limit. The feeling of lightning made Xiao Jiao feel a little nervous. Li Jie always drove very steadily, but this was the first time she saw him driving so hard. Husband, it's too late. You'd better drive slower. She was really afraid that something would happen to him. Seeing that Xiao Jiao was a little scared, Li Jie slowed down and kept the speed at about 100 km per hour. The original journey of more than 30 minutes took Li Jie only 21 minutes and arrived at Hongcheng Airport at 11:20. At this time, there were still 42 minutes before the plane took off. Li Jie quickly took Xiao Jiao to the airport hall, because the security check stopped 30 minutes before the plane took off. I hurriedly checked in and got my boarding pass. When I arrived at the security checkpoint, there were only 3 or 4 minutes left before the security check stopped. Husband, Xiao Jiao reluctantly hugged Li Jie tightly. Li Jie hugged Xiao Jiao, feeling extremely reluctant to let go. He really wanted to keep her and take her home for the new year. What man doesn't want to return home in fine clothes? It is definitely a very honorable thing to bring back such a beautiful girlfriend like Xiao Jiao. Okay, hurry up and go to the security check. Li Jie let go of her with a smile. Honey, shall I leave then? Xiao Jiao took the suitcase and said reluctantly. Let's go, remember to call me when you get home. Seeing Xiao Jiao walking into the security check channel with 3 steps and 1 turn, Li Jie suddenly felt empty and lost. After standing for a while, he sighed and turned to leave the airport. Driving back to the rental house, Li Jie looked at the empty room and felt increasingly empty. After sitting on the sofa for a while, he calmed down a little. He turned on the computer and started writing today's chapter. Affected by his mood, Li Jie's coding speed was a bit slow. It took him almost 3 hours to finish 2 chapters of 6,000 words. After saving the manuscript in the manuscript box and closing the computer, he picked up the mobile phone placed aside and took a look. He found that it was already past 3 p.m., and the plane was probably approaching Xishan. Li Jie came to the window with his cell phone and made a call to his assistant Zhao Jie. The president's office is divided into 2 rooms, inside and outside. The inner room is Li Jie's office, and the outer room is Zhao Jie's assistant office area. Zhao Jiazhen was sitting reading a book when he received a call from Li Jie. She is not satisfied with just being an assistant. She reads some books on management and operations after work. Hello, Mr. Li. Seeing that it was Li Zhe's call, Zhao Jie quickly answered the call. Zhao Jie, go to Shanghai and go to the Foreign Languages Institute to help me find a translator who can speak Czech. You don't need to be proficient in Czech, as long as there is no problem in daily communication. Czech, Zhao Jie was a little surprised. Mr. Li, are you going to the Czech Republic? Yes. So the other party must have a passport and be able to go abroad with me. Although he was a little curious about what Li Zhe was going to do in the Czech Republic, a small country in Eastern Europe, Zhao Jie was very sensible and didn't ask any more questions. She is just an assistant, and she is not qualified to intervene in Li Zhe's matters. Mr. Li, do you have any requirements for candidates? It's best to be female, younger, with a calm personality. As for looks, it doesn't matter. Okay, Mr. Li, I understand. I'll book the ticket now and go to Shanghai tomorrow. Putting away her mobile phone, Zhao Jie left the office, walked through the semi-open office area, and came to the front desk. She found Song Kaer sitting there playing with her mobile phone. She couldn't help but knock on the table. Sister Zhao. Seeing Sister Zhao, she quickly put away her phone and stood up. Zhao Jie didn't say anything to her. The front desk job was already very busy, and it was human nature to play with her mobile phone to pass the time. As long as it wasn't too much, she wouldn't care. You go to the ticket booking point and help me book a sleeper ticket for tomorrow. Zhao Jie asked Song Kaer to go to a private ticket booking point. This kind of ticket booking point has an internal relationship with the station, and you can get internal tickets. Of course, you have to pay extra. Sister Zhao, are you going on a business trip? Song Kaer said happily. Once Zhao Jie left, no one would care about her. Seeing that Song Kaer went to book tickets, Zhao Jie shook her head slightly. How could she not see the other party's little thoughts? In her opinion, a girl like Song Kaer who only has a pretty face is not suitable for survival in the workplace. It is better to find a man with good conditions to marry as soon as possible. After hanging up the phone, Li Zhe had nothing to do, so he simply went to the bedroom to take a nap. He had been tossing with Xiao Jiao for most of the night last night, and he didn't get a good rest either. After sleeping for more than an hour, he was woken up by the alarm clock on time. When he saw the time, it was already 5 o'clock. It was estimated that Xiao Jiao had already arrived at his home in Xinqi. Sure enough, after more than 10 minutes, Xiao Jiao's phone came. Husband, her voice was very low. Hearing her voice, Li Zhe's mood immediately improved a lot. Jiao Bao, are you home? Well, it's been a while, Xiao Jiao said with a smile. Xiao Jiao, what are you doing in the house? Come over for dinner. Xiao Jiao had just chatted with Li Zhe for a few words when her mother Jiao called her in the living room. Xiao Jiao subconsciously glanced in the direction of the door. Okay, I get it. Husband, my mother called me to go to dinner. I'll hang up now. I'll call you when I have a chance, right? All right. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Jiao came to the living room and saw that the dining table was already filled with her favorite dishes. The dishes have been prepared a long time ago, just waiting for you to come back, Mother Jiao said with a smile. Xiao Jiao asked, aren't you waiting for Xiao Jin? He's gotta be a while. The high school hasn't had its winter vacation yet. Father Jiao specifically asked for leave from the school to pick up his daughter. Okay, I'm really a little hungry, Xiao Jiao said with a coquettish smile. Xiao Jiao, why are you so haggard? Are you tired from studying? Mother Jiao looked at her daughter and said distressedly. Xiao Jiao put down her chopsticks, touched her face, and said with a smile, it's okay, I'm not too tired from studying. I just talked a lot with my roommate last night and went to bed a little late. Maybe I didn't get any rest. She is lying now, just open your mouth and come. Father Chiao looked at his daughter and felt that something was wrong with her. He suddenly said, have you got a boyfriend? Xiao Chiao looked normal, glanced at Father Chiao, and said with a smile, no, where did I get my boyfriend from? In the bedroom of the rental house, Li Jie suddenly sneezed. Then where did you get the money to buy the plane ticket? I won the money by buying lottery tickets, Xiao Chiao said confidently. Winning the lottery? Father Chiao and Mother Chiao looked at each other with surprised expressions. Li Jie put away the phone. Although he was a little disappointed that he couldn't chat with Xiao Chiao for a while, he felt relieved knowing that she got home safely. Thanks to the imaginary boss for the 1,500-point reward, thanks to Wanyan 6 for his many rewards, and thanks to Gongguan No. 1 and Hebian Tianxiang for their rewards.